Where's running to Kamari? Where's a treat? Let's go. Guru Mujabahiraye, Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Asato Mahamaya, Tamaso Majatirgamaya, Mirito Mahamritam Gamaya, Namo Bhaya Guru. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Homage and prostration to our gurus since time immemorial, who are the incarnation of divine grace. May they lead us from the darkness unto the light. May they lead us from the unreal unto the real. May they also lead us from death unto immortality. We take refuge in the Guru's feet. Peace, peace, peace. Worship. That's the end of the summer walk. The rest will be celebration all the way through. So, thank you, Honey Kamari, for finding this lovely little spot for us. And handling all the business as usual. I thought that would be only appropriate to repay you with what would become one of your favorite shows. So I hope I'm out of debt to you now, okay? Guru Purnima Day is a day set aside in most cultures where there is this kind of reverence for gurus, whereby you are able to be reminded of the grace that is the encounter with the Guru. The Guru comes and really gives us a chance at achieving the highest possibility and purpose of our human lifetime, you see. And this gift of this precious human body, you see. And they provide us with instructions on how to operate this thing in such a way that you're able to do more than simply suffer here. And we are eternally grateful for that instruction, you see. It's like, what is the use in having a car if you don't know how to drive? You see, it's pointless. In the same way, if you don't know how to use this body mind, it's a point. You see, you have simply wasted this tremendous opportunity that is a human lifetime and this precious human. You see, it helps to begin the relationship with the Guru out of a kind of understanding of how precious your life really is. One of the first things that you learn from the Guru is that this thing, this precious human body, magnificent as it is mortal. It does not last. This is one of the cornerstones of the Buddha's teachings, as well as the teachings of all these great saints. You see it, you see. This will not last. To really factor the mortality of the body into the way you do life is a great beginning if you intend to become a spiritual person, you see. Without that, you probably are not going to have the right psychological and emotional and spiritual disposition for use of this body, right? You see. It's like having a car with no gas. Where are you going? You see, without understanding, what are you going to do with this body? Nothing. You see, it'll take you nowhere. But with the right understanding, using this thing, this machine, can take you directly to this. But this must be understood clearly. And come into right relationship with God's mind. You woke up this morning, probably somewhere near 1.5 million, 2 million people didn't wake up at all. Or had some loved one that didn't wake up. See, you woke up. I think Mukherjee have a phrase for it, mind. I'm alive. That's enough to disappear all your bitch and your moaning and your complaining, don't you think? You're alive in this precious thing called a human body. In this precious lifetime where we've been given some thought. That's joy. If you cannot be happy because you are awakened, you probably going to have no experience with that happiness. Aren't you happy you are alive? Yeah. That you woke up this morning? There's no guarantee of that. So the beginning of right relationship to the teachings, to the Guru, to your own body, mind, and equipment is to appreciate it. You don't appreciate life. And sooner or later, this will end. That's one thing you can count on. This will come to an end. And you don't know under what circumstances or so if you're not made happy just because you are here and you are awake, and this thing is still operating. There's nothing else that you will accumulate in your life will make you happy. Are you following me? So today is, in addition to our celebration of Purnima Day, it's also a celebration of our life, our very existence, our very being. So appreciate that. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. And we can have a little discussion and so forth and so on. Then some music, some dancing, some hugging, some kissing. No fighting. Okay? No fighting, please. You see. But just enjoy the fact that you have been given the Dharma, which is an operating manual for how to make right and the highest use of your body, mind, and life. Billions of people out there don't have that operating manual. See? And what is the sign that you don't know how to operate your body, mind? Who want to guess? Suffering. Suffering is simply a sign you don't know how to operate your body, mind. You're not able to operate it based on the laws governing this thing. Are you with me? So it's like you jump off a roof and you're amazed and surprised that you splattered on the concrete. And you did not understand the laws of physics, the laws of nature. You see, there's laws of outer nature and there's laws of inner nature. You see? And you have to understand the laws of inner nature. You see? Because that's where happiness happens. It's inside you. Happiness don't happen outside you. In your things, in your accumulation, in your relationships, etc., etc. That's not the domain of happiness. Happiness happens inside of you. And when you know how to operate this body-mind mechanism, you see, then you create for yourself a state, an inner state, a quality, you see, so to speak. That is shine. No matter what's going on around this body. This is the secret knowledge, see, that we all, to some degree or another, have to give. And so just recognizing the gift of the Dharma should be enough. with me? To break the heart wide open, because that's what happens when you meet your guru. You see, it's like you're born again. I think that's Jesus' phrase, and it's very appropriate. You see, something become alive in you that was previously dead. See, it's a unique kind of relationship. It's characterized by great compassion, tolerance, patience, but it also has this fierce side. In the Sufi tradition, we refer to our guru as my friend, my spiritual friend. But it's not that kind of friendship you're looking for, where people will sign on to your bullshit. That's not the kind of friendship that the spiritual friend gives you. It's not about helping you find some kind of way to remain in your comfort zone, to remain in your limited condition, so forth and so on. That's not the kind of friendship, but that's the kind of friend you're looking for. So, I think that's why the mystics themselves have said, don't get this twisted, don't get this confused. But it's a very different kind of relationship, an extraordinary relationship. And it transforms you on the inside. Now, on the outside, you still love me, okay? You ain't gonna look anything that you look right now. Probably worse, okay? It's not gonna change your karma, your karma that you have to go through in this lifetime. If you're gonna get cancer, you're still gonna get your cancer, your diabetes, all of these vicissitudes of life that we experience on an individual basis, that all stays intact. Nothing changes. What does change is your inner verse. You see? That changes. And when that changes, everything changes. So, this is something to be understood, something to be celebrated, don't you think?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So, I didn't come just to run my mouth. I thought I would be kind today. I did, however, try to make up for it by sending you a billion DVDs and shit like that, to put something on your mind to help you really appreciate why there is something called a guru Purnima. The guru comes and gives us what Brahman can't come and give you, what Vishnu has not given you. What Mahasaya has not given you. Not even Brahma has given you. Knowledge. The guru comes to give you what all of the great gurus in the past cannot give you, because they're not in the same place and time that you are in. So Buddha can't help you. Mahavira cannot help you. Jesus can't help you. Muhammad can't help you. Haile Selassie can't help you. They're dead. Gone. At the most, they can create a kind of ambience, a kind of context, a kind of atmosphere, a kind of inspiration. They can't instruct you. Which leaves you to your own devices. Is that about right? You're guessing at how to operate this body mind. Can you imagine putting a Zuri in the car and telling them, guess how to drive? If they did that to us, guess how to drive your car, then we'll all be dead. True? There must be instructions. There must be help given. We have this precious human body in lifetime, but you don't know how to operate the body and what to do with it during your lifetime to bring your suffering to it. Sure has. All right. What would you rascals like to discuss? Purnima.
Master, I'd like to address the video, the beautiful video you sent to Sadhguru, and he was giving his take on the Buddha.
The Buddha.
when he left when he had the desire to leave the palace, I mean, he told in such a beautiful way
Yes.
that he had to see. So, but the chariot driver, he was worried,
Yeah.
and he asked him questions. What's wrong with that fellow there? He's all, but when he came to the funeral, what happened here? Oh,
Yeah.
that. What?
Yeah.
And the Buddha says, well, that's going to happen to me. What is going to happen to all of us? And that seemed to have set in motion his whole.
Yes. The spiritual quest, the Sadhana days begin with that revelation. And we just mentioned that you have to factor death in. You have to understand this body, mind, not only is it not going to last, it's not even who you are. See? The biggest problem on the path is the misidentification with this which will not last. Are you with me? All of your problems, all of your sorrow, all of your suffering can be traced back to your presumption that you are this body, mind, machine. You see? It's like you have a car. You don't think you're the car, right? Well, that's not true for everybody. Right? You start crying. You see, you turn your stuff into me. You turn things that are not you into you. Are you following me? And so we do the same with this body, you see. So the Buddha had that revelation, you see. And he stopped in that moment from his procrastination about following his own spiritual intuition, you see. He had this intuition long before he went forth, right? But he was suppressing it. But something in the Buddha stirred, you know. You see, something was still questioning this thing. Even after he saw the funeral procession, you see, after he saw the death, right? He still, like us, suppressed that truth. Are you with me? Yeah. See, and when you suppress the reality of the mortality of the body-mind mechanism, you begin to live as if you are immortal. The you, of course, being this. This is not immortal. But since you think this is who you are you with me? And you think you're immortal, you see the problem. Yeah. Right? So when sickness comes, it affects you. You see? It takes your joy, etc., etc. So this is and I think Sadhguru did an excellent job. I like Sadhguru because he looks like Maharaji. It ain't like he got the highest wisdom on the planet, but damn, he looks like Maharaji. So if you can groove on his style and his beauty and all of that, then you get a little bit of what it was like. You see my point? To be around see, just absolutely absorbed. But in spite of that, he does have some insights and so forth. He's a good yogi, so if you had all kinds of questions that you have about yoga, I mean, you know the yoga culture very well, and so forth and so on. I also like him because he too went to Kemet, like many of you in here, right? And one of the things that is so absent in the East is that they have very little to no knowledge about Kemet and the spiritual tradition that precedes the Vedas and all of that, you see? And therefore they're not able to bridge the Dharma with Africa, you see? But a few of them have had the chance to go. I know that Maharaji went to Africa too. There's a picture with him standing in front of the pyramids and so forth. And if you have any kind of spiritual sensitivity and receptivity, you immediately recognize what's going on, you see, along this Nile River. You see, you may not have the scholarship to it integrated into your tradition. It's another matter. But you do recognize something extraordinary was happening in this now Valley civilization, as well as all over Africa. So Sadhguru went and he saw the pyramids but what really blew his mind, he went to Karnak. How many remember Karnak? Blew your mind too, right? And of course, when you're making the journey through ancient ruins in Egypt, invariably you will see that Sphinx. You remember seeing that Sphinx, right? Blew your mind then.
Yes,
And to Sadhguru's credit, he tried to duplicate something close to the Sphinx. He built a big statue of Adiyogi, Shiva. You see, Shiva is, in their tradition, is not considered God, but the first yoga teacher. But anyway, he has this big statue. And you all probably saw that in Purnima day, right? Yeah. But that ain't the Sphinx. But I give him credit, you know what I mean? But something like what you saw going on in the presence of the Sphinx is what went on in the presence of the Adi-Guru Shiva. What you saw going on there is what went on around the Sphinx. So forth and so on, you see. And so he builds temples, he's a great temple builder. I don't know if that's something that became obvious. He builds temple. In fact, he's building a temple to Chakra, to female power, as we said. Well, of course, you go to the temple of Isis, right? So you see how the effort is to duplicate all of that here, see? In India, not here in America, you know what I mean? So I like him for that reason too. There's a couple of other guys over there, gurus and swamis, who are also beginning to appreciate the unsung contribution of the African sages and mystics to all the spirituality on this planet. In ancient time, they were not so academically prejudiced. You see, Muhammad knew where to go. Jesus knew where to go. Even the Buddha allegedly went. I don't know if that's true or not, but anytime you got a real good understanding of death, you probably been Egypt at some point in time. So, it's like that. See? It's like that. Something else to say about it, beloved?
Yes, he also mentioned, and I wasn't aware, I should read more. He said at one point in ancient India, there was over 1,800 paths or ways, and I was like, oh, I did not know that it was that diverse. Yeah.
Varieties and approaches to the goal of yoga. Yes, unless you're a scholar and you study that stuff, if Indiology is not your focus, interest, then you probably won't. Probably many people in India don't know that. You see my point as well. But certainly you all are already familiarized yourself with Advaita Vedanta per se. And if you paid attention to Sarvapriyananda's discourses and so forth, you would notice that he did share with you the fact that there's 13 varieties of just Vedanta. You see my point? And that Shankaracharya was not the only person considered to possess the secrets of Vedanta. So you have 3 major schools, and I'm not going to go into all of that, but the point I'm making is that there's many species of it. Are you with me? Even in Santmat, many different varieties of Santmat. There's a kind of Santmat practiced by those who are still following the Parampara of Kabir. There's a kind of Santmat that's informed those who are following Dandu, etc., a kind of Santmat that follows Rumi and so forth and so on. They all have some things in common, though. Are you with me? But yes, it was those many schools, you see. I think from the point of view of academics, you see, if you study Indiology today, they'll talk about the 6 schools of Indian philosophy. They sort of got condensed. But yes, true. Right? Very true. And they used to meet and argue. their case, their position. And it's very interesting. If you are representing one tradition and Bharataji is representing another tradition in yoga, you will meet and you will have an argument to prove why yours is superior to the other. Are you with me? And whoever lost had to follow the winner. You see my point? So debates were going on every place. You know what I mean? Shankarakari was a great debater. Maharaj was a great debater, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You see? And then with those, you see, also, and what they have is Kashmir Shaivism, many branches, you see. And it's also a non-dualism that says Advaita Vedanta is not the highest form of non-dualism. And they make an argument, you see. Just like the Vedantics have the Vedas, and the Upanishad, they have the Shiva Sutras and the Agamas, you know what I mean? So it's art, you see. And it's really interesting, to say the least, you see. But a lot of confusion, you know what I mean? A lot of confusion. So that's a part of Indian history. But one of the things in Bhakti, you know what I mean? Who, that whole tradition said when you get tired of all this argument and debating as to what is the truth and what is not the truth, he said your head south, right? Yeah. South of those Himalayas, your head south down into the south of it, right? Indus Kush, you know, come there a lot through down there where Ramana Maharshi was hanging out. You understand? You see? The truth, according to that particular point of view, perspective, is in the south. It's not up in the north. You see? And so it gets very interesting. So that makes sense though, because every one of you sitting here have your own ideas about what it requires to succeed on the spiritual path. I hear it in your pool meetings all the time. You'll read something that the missus said, and then you will say to the side, but I think this. Right? It's about telling, no, I think it's this. You see? And that's how that goes. You see, it's just human. Follow me? It's just human. So that's good. That's good. A lot more can be said about all of that. Anything else? What else? What else? What else? You see? Yes, beloved.
Can I read something?
Yes, this is our time together. Stand and read. I don't know if I'll be able to answer any of it, but you can read it.
Well, it's concerning research you told me to do about yoga and freedom.
I try. Yes, but you have to save that for your cooling.
Oh,
yes.
Really?
Yes. Yes. You'll be the Mahan. Just, corral some of these people. Who would like to know what it really means to be a friend? Huh? Okay. Who needs a friend? All right. Then sign up and you'll be in Satnami's cooler. Fair enough? We don't want to gloss it.
Okay.
Right? We want to turn that into a cooler process. You see? As I've already mentioned, you see, we have to get past this conventional concept of a friend. You see, a friend is not someone to come here and rescue you from your karma and from the consequences of your actions. That's what you look for. Are you with me? That's not friendship. That's just somebody that is patronizing you, buying into your drama. Are you with me? Spiritual friendship is coming to bring all that to an end. Are you with me? To destroy this burden of self-concern. That's what a friend is trying to do. Trying to move you past your lamentations, your complaints about, oh, poor me, meaning your body, mind. It's a very different kind of friendship. Serious. You see? It's fierce love in that relationship. Yes, great compassion. You see? Mara used to always say that you know that capacity, because we're like that fine Muslim cloth that they talk about. You know? And we stuck to what our thoughts and opinions are. They're like the thorns on a bush, right? We stuck to that, right? And he has to live very slowly. Little by little. He can't just pull it off. It'll tear you to pieces. You with me? That's the compassion. At least that's been my experience. You follow me? Bilal and Mani Kamari and Roger Bitter can share from their own perspective and point of view what their experience was. But my experience was one of compassion, one of patience, and yet free from bullshit. You know? Free from bullshit. You know? Bilal has a poem called Not on My Side. And that was really captured the relationship because, you know, write a letter complaining about so-and-so, complaining about George, complaining about C.D. Johnny Frank and the rest of the Chicago stuff. They ain't doing this right, they ain't sincere, you know what I mean? And he dismissed all of that. You see my point? I remember having an interview with my guy when you go to the dairy, he'll give you some one-on-one, right? And I was about to use my one-on-one to tattle on everybody back in the to express my concern about what's going to happen to them. You know, from gossiping, right? You know, my guy, so-and-so is cheating on his wife, and you know, my guy, so-and-so is using drugs now, and I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. You know, like I'm running there. And my guy, you know, he always wore those dark shades, much like Saguda. They look very much alike, really. You see, very much alike. He lifted up his shades and he said, Leonard, he said, you have your karma, they have their karma. You do what you need to do and don't be worried about it. Basically, it's saying stay in your lane. That ain't none of your business. Are you with me? You see, he limited all that behavior. You see, and that's what I did, take you past your limitations, because sometimes you just stuck in a place, all you can do is complain. You have no appreciation. You see, you can't appreciate breathing in, breathing out. You can't appreciate that you're here. You're alive. 2 million didn't make it this morning. You can't appreciate that, right? You can't appreciate life that is in this body. This is life in this body. Are you with me? You have to appreciate that, right? And you have to value that, you see? You have to see how precious your next breath is and value that, you see? And be happy about that. Because so many can't bring in a breath right now. You see, people are dying right now. True? You gotta appreciate life, being alive. You gotta appreciate having the Dharma, having the manual of all these scriptures, which instruct you on how to operate this body mind. You see, you should appreciate that. Millions of people don't know how to operate it. True? Right? So you have to appreciate this thing. That's the first order. So Maharaji, and I'm assuming that that's true. I've heard many people who are not disciples of Maharaji, you know what I mean, have made the same confession in their relationship with their Guru. You all know Adidam. You know we're very friendly with that Sangha, right? And you should listen to Anthony when they talk about Adidam.
Yeah.
See my point? Same thing. You see? It's like we all have mothers, and if we had these loving mothers, we all have the same confessions in our relationship to our mothers, right? Because there's something universal in motherhood. Are you with me? Right? So it's sort of like that. So you are to be, for instance, spiritual friends to one another. Right? Not gossip, partners. Are you with me? Not a source that you can exploit to let you off the hook of being responsible. A real friend makes you responsible. Don't you think?
Yes.
True.
Yes.
Right? That's real friendship. Because as long as you remain irresponsible, you remain limited in your comfort zone. That's what irresponsibility is. The unwillingness to move outside and beyond your comfort zone. Are you with me? Right? And that's what they would do. Right? You come out of the washroom and there's some toilet tissue hanging out of your dress. Your friend is like, hey girl, you know what I mean? You see my point? The people ain't your friend, just gonna look. And tell you, oh, girl, you looking good. That's not what you all are to be to one another. That's about to be spiritual friends with one another in the real sense of the word. You don't have to be cruel and brutal, don't misunderstand me, because sometimes you can use the two, use truth like a hammer. That's the purpose. That's not what I'm talking about. You see, that's just being brutal. Are you with me? But loving, you know what I mean? So what else before we get, when is the dancing gonna start? What else, beloved? Well, you watch more than one.
Just one, it's a long guard that I keep close to.
Okay, we got long guard. You got long guard.
Yeah, long guard time.
Let's line up for my long guard people. Let's line up over here. Is this the mic for the long guard people?
Yes.
I have no idea how this going. Long guard and poetry and so forth and so on. Oh, that's good. And that we'll line up behind Prim Bunny. You bring your mic out front here. Can you do that? Right.
Well,
Bring it over here.
put it on that side.
So the law can get you. And you can go right around and line up on that side.
You can put it a little bit closer. Put it a little bit closer to him. It's good. All right, that's good.
Justin.
But you gotta give him some body.
Right. Testing. This is a piece of longer. I try to read daily. I mean, should read 4 times a day, maybe 5 or 6. But it says, foolish to chase after imaginary pleasures. They love to dance out of reach, giving only taste of slight satisfaction. Simpler to give heartfelt attention to the source of contentment and find there is never anything missing in this moment. Then the rising water of devotion takes the weight out of these hands and dissolves the dreamlike boundaries of desire itself.
Expound on that.
It puts into context for me taking pleasure out of something that really doesn't have pleasure, to look forward to something, and when that time comes, it just evaporates like a phantom, and it's on to the next one. It shows me what I'm missing in that moment, and the fool's gold that I invested in. How's it to invest time, attention in something and get it and find out it's worthless? That's a child's form of foolishness. And to have a guru who points this out time and time again, I see how fortunate I am. And I have a chance. And Master doesn't quit on me, and I know he won't ever. I'll never quit. But that puts into context for me wishing for things that absolutely have no value at all. And on my deathbed, that would just be devastating.
I have 2 poems. poems by Hafez. The first one is entitled, It Felt Love. It says, how did the rose ever open its heart and give to this world all its beauty? It felt the encouragement of light against its being. Otherwise, we all remain too frightened.
That's sweet. That's deep, though. What did you take away from that, beloved?
Well, when it talked about the encouragement of the light helps the heart open, I thought of you and these 21 years of being in a relationship with you and how I'm starting to have my heart open for you and to be able to learn how to use this heart rightly.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Thank you, beloved.
Can I read my other one?
Yes, you can.
Lift up love as your guide. This is how fast as I do. Oh, my tiny fool, look smart today. Show a little wit. How you can be the guide on a road you never even traveled. If you want to learn about the truth, you must first lift up love as your guide. So now listen, son, and someday you too may be a father. All the fasting, all the feasting and sleeping has made you fat and lazy, and yet deprived and depraved. Today you may learn a little something yet. Take heart, it's never too late to learn to shine, greet your love with your heart, and someday you too may outshine a supernova. Wash your hands off all the dust and copper. Take in tender love with only grace of a gilded touch today. Don't just sit around waiting for a destiny to fall. Get out there, feel life, touch the sun, and immerse in the sea. You'll never know a thing if you only imagine how it feels. If you want to know divine, step into the flame. To know the water, bathe in the lake. Those who are older only see with clarity. There's no haze or fog to cloud their eyes. No doubt to rain on their parade. Embraced by her love, you will never ever know, want, or need. In times of frolic or tragedy, no gain or loss may ever reign on your being. You've no idea how fast. If you seek to reunite with the beloved, be as you do and always be wise, and speak only you from the heart today.
That's very good. You know, that in itself is an instruction manual. It's an operating manual. It has all the instructions on how to use this thing in and of itself. It's very beautiful. You can learn from nature. Nature itself is a instruction. Built right in. If you have eyes to see, not proud. You see? When we talk about love, you see, we almost always resort to try to point to it in the operation of some human being with another human being. Usually you would call that love, but that's really not love in the highest sense of the word. If you want to see what love looks like, look at that tree outside that window. It's making the oxygen you breathe, and it has asked you for nothing. You see, the 5 elements are the demonstrations of love. You see, earth, you see, water, fire, air, ether, you see. watch how they operate here. They have made that thing. You see my point, right? Do you ever wake up in the morning, you see, and thank value for your breath? You see? Namaste, brother. You see? Have you ever thanked Tejas for the fire in your stomach that is processing your food? And this is a miracle in itself, right? It takes something that is not you and turn it into you. What greater alchemy can there be that is going on in the monoculture? But do you ever say namaste to the body? Look at nature. Right? That's love. And when we talk about mother love, yes, we can talk about mother love at the level of the human, you know, your mama, my mama, etc. But if you really want to see some real mother love, look at Mother Nature and see how mother love really looks. True? It's very beautiful, you see. Study that. And you'll begin to understand what Hafiz is saying. Your individuality is a pure optical illusion. Your feeling that you are an individual is a product of your own ignorance. Nobody hears you. You see? That tree and your lungs are in oneness. You're one with this tree. You just can't see that. Are you with me? Your body is 72% water. You see? You're one with the percentage. With me? Are y'all following me? Yes, sir. That's Mother Nature. That's the great mama. Are you with me? That's the big mama. That's the Maha mama. You see? That's Shakti. So, let that be our model when we talk about love. Okay, become like sunlight. The sun is shining on you, right? Otherwise, you'll have no mobility in your body. When have you said namaste, Surya? Namaste, brother. When have you thanked the sun? See, African people knew how to do that. If you don't know how to do that, technically, you're really not African in the spiritual sense of the word. You know what I'm saying? You look like an African, but you don't have the spirit of African. Follow my argument?
Yeah.
Be like nature. Oh, we can go on and on and on. And you're going to have to give a talk one day. We got to get back to those talk, don't you think? We got to find a way to create that again. Over the years, you all have accumulated so much good stuff to share. Thank you. You can talk. What is this? It's a house around miracles. Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to share a little bit from the spiritual guide, The Alchemy of Service. And it's one of the sharings from the Service of Worship from Sheikh Sadi. And it's just a few little things that he gave, some jewels. He said, I wanted to give you a present that was worthy of your service. But even my life would be a poor offering, so I don't know what to send. And he continues, talking about the unworthy being granted the privilege of service. Lacking in my merit and worth, I am unworthy of your service. But should you accept it, I would be a paragon in virtue despite all my defects. We do not claim to have rendered you service and devotion, for we are ashamed of the shortcomings of our service. And he continues, because he's trying to question whether or not his service is acceptable or not, or relevant. He says, "Lo, I am standing here, engaged in your service. What does it matter to me whether or not it is acceptable?" And he continues about the quality of service. He says, "We have rendered no service, but still we cherish the hope that by reason of your noble disposition and character, you will exercise magnanimity towards us." Then he concludes with something from Hafez. And Hafez says, "Yusuf, by the soul of the peer of the tavern, and by my gratitude for his grace, I swear that there is nothing in my head save the desire for his service."
Only Hafez. And Hafez, can do justice to that. That's a very profound thing. You see, even our concept of savor very often is shallow. You see, when you really look at the physics of it, the relationship between grace and savor, you get a much better understanding. You see, this grace is always there. Grace is not something that you gotta ask for. It is always already the case. There is nothing anywhere in this entire creation where there is not grace. You see? It's made out of grace. It's just a question of our sensitivity to it, our receptivity to the grace that is already here. See? So just like you breathe in this air, you breathe it in and you breathe it out. Savor is when you take in grace and then you blow it into your life. There's no distinction, you see. So we have to look and see all this grace that we're taking and the food you eat, that's grace. True?
Yes.
I mean, true?
True.
Everything that sustains this thing, that's grace, right? You're taking it in to yourself. And then you're supposed to put it back out. Savor is an expression of the grace that you have ingested going back out in the form of service. But what do you do with your grace that you take in every day? You see? You take in grace, but then you give out venom. You give out ill will. You give out anger. You give out hatred. You give out all kinds of shit. Are you with me? But you don't give out grace. You see? You don't know how to use this. Are you with me? True? True. Hafez says that when you are really receptive to grace, when you're making right use of grace, it always manifests itself. Your absence of savor is a sign of your lack of receptivity to grace. That's all that says about you. That's all it says. So this is beautiful. Hafez is dangerous. You know what I mean? I'm just, you know, because it sounds so beautiful, you know, and that's what makes it so dangerous. You know what I mean? You come away from it and you think, oh, that's a nice poem, and you miss the point. You follow me? It's hardcore, it's instruction. Almost an injunction. Namaste. All right. Should I stand for this? Y'all look so beautiful. See? So beautiful.
reading from the same book, Spiritual Guide, Volume 2. And the title of this part is Cultivating an Effective Relationship with the Teacher. That's got it. I'm short. A teacher-student relationship can only be considered effective if it actually leads to the spiritual development of the student. However, this effective relationship does not come to being simply by taking initiation from a teacher. The student has a role to play in making the relationship effective. Befriending the teacher. If the teacher is a good friend, Kaliana Mati Mita, I butchered that, then the student must also learn to be a friend to the teacher. Friendship is not a one-way street. The Buddha spoke about the way a student befriends the teacher in the Bodh Sutra. Because when you honor, as the Devas, Indra, one from whom you might learn the Dharma, he, learned, honored, confident in you, shows you the Dharma. You, enlightened, heedful, befriending a teacher like that, practicing the Dharma in line with the Dharma, pondering, giving it priority, become knowledgeable, clear-minded, wise. As one who embarked on a sturdy boat with rudder and oars would, mindful, skillful, knowing the needed techniques, carry many others across. Even so, an attainer of knowledge, learned, self-developed, unwavering, can get other people to comprehend if they are willing to listen and ready to learn. So, you should befriend a person of integrity, learned, intelligent, practicing so as to know the goal. When you experience the Dharma, you get the bliss.
What more can be said?
That's why I wanted something like this. That's real good. No, yeah, but I didn't come to read this. I had got another piece that I was going to read from another book, Kabir, as a matter of fact. And I picked this book up. The front looks the same, and when I got here, I realized I had the wrong book.
No, you have the right book.
Evidently, yeah. So, and that's what, but they both were saying pretty much the same.
Yes, and that is so true. Maharaji had, about 1.5 million, almost 2 million devotees, right? Now, all of them obviously did not follow the Satmata. The vast majority are not. Because as we said before, everything that comes in our life that sustains us is grace. I've used some very basic example, food and so forth and so on. But we're more than just this body. We have other dimensions, emotional, psychological, et cetera, right? And there must be food for that too, right? The Guru is like food for those higher dimensions. You see, and for which all the food feeding world is not going to nurture that. Are you with me? If you can eat tons of food, that's not going to make you tired at all. You see? It's not going to give you any skill of managing your emotions, et cetera, et cetera. Right? So a different kind of food. So the Guru is like a manifestation of grace. Are you with me? The incarnation of grace is the kind of language that they use. And to the best of my own ability, that's almost fit Maharaji to a T. You know what I mean? in the sense that that's grace, right? And you take it in, right? And that's what the Buddha is talking about. You take that in and then you express it back out. Are you with me? Maharaji said that we have two responsibilities on the path. One is to achieve our liberation, and then to help others who are also trying to achieve that same liberation. That's duty. Are you with me? It doesn't mean you go proselytizing. You follow what I'm saying? But when you come across a person that has a genuine interest, you see, then you are required by Dharma to help them. You see, that's what a good student does. Right? You don't express the opposite. Are you with me? You don't take in the grace that is the teacher, the guru, and then you manifest it in the form of just cruelty, hard-heartedness. You know what I mean? You don't have to try to bring them on the path, but you shouldn't be hard-hearted. You shouldn't be cruel. You shouldn't be brutal. You shouldn't be arrogant. You not think there's something special about you. You see? There ain't nothing special about you, but you that you think you are. That's the problem. So we take in the Guru, that grace, dissolve the ego, and then you become an agency of the Guru's grace. And that's fundamentally what the Buddha is arguing. But that's what every great teacher is arguing. You see? Jesus said the same thing. You know, people will know that you are my disciple because of your love. If you're not loving toward all sentient beings, and actually, it's not something you can arrive at logically. It's more existential. It's more visceral. Are you with me? Because as the ego melt, what is that? It's just the melting away of your sense of individuality and separateness and disconnectedness from everything else that exists. It's a yoga. Are you with me? Yoga means to unite with that which is beyond your individuality. You see? Beyond your skin. Monica Mara was telling me she was on retreat. She had a great awakening. And she said, Bhagwan, I can't feel nothing beyond my skin. True. And everything you can feel, you see, beyond your skin, everything you feel within your skin, you call that me. You see my point? Everything beyond that, you call that the other. But that's not the way this thing is, you see. You're only that way because you cannot expand beyond the limitation of your individuality. You can't feel this other person just like you can feel your hand. That's what we say on the street, you feel it. Right? That's a question to see where you're at spiritually. Because if you feel other people like you feel your hand, nobody has to tell you don't stab your hand. Right? None of those kind of junkies are required out of it. Because you've expanded yourself beyond the limitation of this body, mind, and skin. So you become love. You see? Once you make use of the grace, right? But if you have Dharma, you have instruction, you don't follow them, you follow what you think. What you think. No transformation happens to you. None. Because you're doing what you think. As if your little thing, right, is able to understand the immensity of this thing. Right? It's like, I think, in the literature of Sufism, and they use the example of trying to empty the Pacific Ocean with a teaspoon into some little hole you dug on the beach. How would you do that? How would you do that? It's not possible. But that's the intellectual, that's the thinker. and you're trying to use their intellect to understand what the intellect cannot understand. Little spoons of thought poured into a hole called your head. You can't empty the universe. So there's a hidden message there, true? You can't follow that and jump it. As Purnima said, without the heart has to be open. So that's very good. That's very good. What can we start having these satsangs by you all? I got to figure out, when you come out, let's think about, we have to reserve some space at these different libraries again, right? Where it make it convenient for you guys so you can travel around. Because we must not waste all of this knowledge you all have accumulated. You want to sit down? Go sit down. That's the board? Good, good. Audience, I need you have some Lungar too?
And I got one.
You got one too? Good. Who else? You kind of. Get the left.
So I have a poem by Rumi,
Rumi, okay.
and the title is Love Came. Love came and became like blood in my body. It rushed through my veins and encircled my heart. Everywhere I looked, I saw one thing, love's name written on my limbs, on my left palm, on my forehead, on the back of my neck, on the right big toe. Oh, my friend, all that you see of me is just a shell, and the rest belongs to love. I got some clarification.
Go.
This is written by from a sad song that you did in 2012.
I did a session.
Yeah. And you talked about divine aloneness. Okay. And the quote is, divine aloneness is a very different kind of aloneness. Divine aloneness is a result of a profound understanding that nobody belongs to you, nor do you belong to anyone. You are born alone, and you will leave this place alone. And in the middle, you understand, I am still alone. Then you go on to say, you begin to understand that what you have been calling friends are not friends, and what you have been calling enemies are not enemies. Both are illusions. You have no friends, therefore you have no enemies. We hear people say, well, I have no friends, but I have plenty of enemies. This is a fool speaking, one who has not understood. You neither have friends nor enemies. You have nothing. You are alone. And there's more, but I wanted you to comment on that.
In what way?
In terms of friendship and friends, that this is, what I saw when I read this was that regular friendship, spiritual friendship, is a prerequisite to getting to what I just read. And I want you to, I don't know if I'm correct in that.
Well, we're not talking about spiritual friendship in that piece.
No.
We're talking about what you consider to be.
Well, the highest level.
Well, there is
What the
spiritual friend.
Where the ego has been dropped.
As long as you think something is yours, that you're just using that something or someone for your own self-gratification. How do you call that? It's exploitation. Are you with me? You're using somebody to make yourself feel better. There's no friendship in that. Are you with me? So in that sense, you see, they're not your friend, nor they're your enemy either. You see, the deeper understanding is that you make your friends and enemies based on your reaction and based on where you are spiritually. Are you with me? That's made up in your mind. Are you with me? Nothing here belongs to you. You see, the emphasis again is on this word my. My implies that this something belongs to you. Your body don't even belong to you. Nature gave you that. It's food. Are you with me?
Yes.
So it's addressing many misperceptions. You see, the ideal is that that which is alone is very often a phrase we use for the very divine itself. Right? It's beyond all time and space. It's not in time and space. It's beyond that. You see, it's again an argument to try to emphasize that you should not be psychologically and emotionally dependent on anyone or anything for the sake of being happy. You see? You should have that much freedom inside. You may have people all around you. You with me? But you're not in a dependent relationship with one. Because when you're in some kind of dependent, you see, or adversarial relationship, you're not free in those relationships. You see? Maharaji, and that's who I was trying before, maybe I did not do a good job of it. But Maharaji used to always say, try to understand that no one belongs to you, nor do you belong to anyone. Try to understand that. Try to go deep into that understanding. Because, you see, you have these roles, right? You're a mother, you're a father, you're in relationship to somebody else, but that's a role, you're not that. You see, you don't belong, the real self. You see, that doesn't belong to anybody. Who do your consciousness belong to? Does your consciousness belong to anybody in this room? Does it belong to anybody in this world? Does your inferred consciousness you see in them, do that belong to you? No. You've been drinking, but I'm watching the moon for 3 days and hoping it'll be out tonight. You see, intoxicated. But try to understand that, right? You are consciousness, right? Your consciousness don't belong to anybody. And their consciousness don't belong to you. Now, if you can't get that, just step it down. Life, okay? You can feel that, right? You have life. Does your life belongs to somebody else, or is it your life? It's your life, right? Maharaji life don't belong to you. True? True. Nobody's life belongs to you other than your own life. Right. And you are responsible for it. See, it goes deeper. You're responsible for your life. It's not Maharaji's responsibility for your life. It's your life. Right? True? And you can't breathe for him. Right? And he cannot breathe for you.
Unless I'm resuscitating.
Yeah, the problem. She's doing great, right?
The nurse came out.
That's all right. That's all right. But you can't even resuscitate him unless there's prana in his body. See, the prana value of breath, that has disappeared. You can't. Right. When they stop breathing, for real, you can't resuscitate them. Right, so it's like that. Something else about it.
Thank you.
Yes, beloved.
I have a question.
Yes, beloved.
Pastor, I thought that.
When we gonna dance? Yes,
I
beloved.
thought that our consciousness really belonged to the Most High God.
No, you are the Most High God. You forget that. Right. See, one of the beautiful things about, for instance, in Kashmir Savaism, they say they start off by describing what are the fivefold activities of what we call God, right? Or what we're calling God, what? It creates, right? So, right? It sustains, right? It destroys, right? It changes, right? So forth and so on. Then it hides itself, and then it reveals itself. I won't go into all of that. It's, I think we had it in philosophy of silence.
Yeah.
We still have a problem over that, you know, 'cause I don't want to gloss it. So when you look at it, when you go through all of this, isn't that exactly what you do?
Yeah.
When you become conscious, the body exists and the world comes into existence. In the African tradition, there's an old saying that goes something like, the body is because I am. You are never having the experience of a body before you are conscious. The world is because I am. You never have the experience of the world prior to becoming conscious. God is because I am. You will never think of God until you become conscious. Check the one. Don't accept it, go look and see. What comes first? Your consciousness or your feeling that you're this body? Which one? What comes first? Your feeling that the world is, you're not, or the feeling that I am, the world is. I mean, you see what I'm saying? Just look at it.
I agree.
All right. Now the cool poet's gonna come. I got straight ready for this here. Yes, beloved.
Hi, this is original piece called Your Love, Let It Guide Mine. Your love, let it guide the mind. Due to difficulties and misunderstandings in relationship to Kusain and Radasi. Your love, let it shield the mind in dreams as in the wakeful state. Let your love be the awareness that separates the sheaths for clear understanding of the nature of the self. I pray these things, O Lord, as if it isn't already so, but it is. Your love is thy guide, and I just need to say thank you. Your love is thy shield, and I have the need to say thank you. Your love is thy knowledge that changes misunderstandings into understanding, and I have the overwhelming need to say thank you. Thank you for a love that gives itself even when blamed, but not at fault. A love that separates the false from the real is truly worthy of thy praise. Thank you. Thank you for a love that shows up in battles and brings understanding and empathy. It's very possible for offense to be taken when it was not meant through thy own speech. Thank you for your love being the catalyst for a sincere apology and eternal embrace. Thank you for your love as it becomes more and more thy own. It feels like an almighty presence established deep in the heart, surrounded by your presence. You are there. Burn that fire. Burn that fire, O Lord. Thank you.
Yes, beloved.
Good. This is from Tolstoy. And since I met this man, everything I hear and see, and it just let me know it's true. And it goes like this. If a man is not making a pretense of work, but is working in order to accomplish the matter he has in hand, his actions will necessarily follow one another in certain sequence determined by the nature of the work. If he postpones to a later time but from the nature of the work should be done first, or if altogether omit some essential parts, he is certainly not working seriously, but only pretending. This rule holds unutterably true whether the work be physical or not, as one cannot seriously wish to break bread unless he first kneads the dough, then heat the brick, sweep the oven, and so on. So also one cannot seriously wish to lead a good life without adopting a certain order of succession in attainment of the necessary qualities.
It's a beautiful thing, and that's very profound. Because see what it does, it addresses the riddle that compiles most, you see, effort in its relationship to grace. Now there's two types of people. There's one kind of person that is just going to wait for something to happen. You know what I mean? They're hoping. You see? And whenever God wants you, he'll get you. Like, you follow me? Then there's the other school that makes the effort. See? So people divide themselves into those different dimensions, right? I'm not going to do anything solid and anything when God is ready to come get me, right? I just don't take me out. Just go to the side, so downtown, and you're here to everywhere. All the grace of the Master, the great Master. He's going to save me. It's a kind of Jesus Christ, syndrome. Then on the other hand is the person that said, I'm going to put forth all this effort, I'm going to perfect my silence, I'm going to meditate 24 hours a day, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to do this, the kata, the doer. I'm going to do this. You see? We go without grace, we're getting this done. Well, neither camp is right. It takes both. And that's what you're talking about. In that example of toaster, he uses the example of dough, right? You want a cake, right? Right? So your part is that you got to get the dough, get the ingredients, mix all that up, right? Get a pan, blah, 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 all of those things, and put it in the oven, right? Now you got to wait. You see, you've done all that you can do, but now, once it's in the oven, you got to wait. You see, it requires patience. You understand it, you see. Or it's like farming, right? You till the soil, you make sure that it's healthy, and then you drop the crop into that soil. You've done it all. You plowed, you sweated, you see. Now you got to wait. But if you just waited and you have not put no seed in the ground, you're going to starve it. If you mix all the ingredients of the cake or dough and just leave it on the table and not put it in the oven, you're not going to have no bread. It's hard. So my idea, used to explain, effort and grace, they're not separate. They're one thing, one whole process. You follow me? Effort is not a whole process. Dependence on grace is not a whole process. They're one process. It's a very profound matter.
I want to add one last thing to that, Master. What I got from it, also the part that
Come so I'll have you on record speaking and tell me.
this part goes for me. The part that if you omit the instructions of the master in any way, shape, or form, it's not going to work. It's just like the baking too. If you try to bake the bread the other way, instead of using the flour, the dough in the right succession, you're not going to get the bread. So if we keep changing the instructions that the master gives us,
If who?
if I keep changing the instructions, I'll just help him, but I take the blame. If I keep changing the instructions, I'm not going to get it. So I got to follow the instruction as it was given in order to get that result.
Because our first response to the injunctive that we received from the Guru is we start editing. We start editing those injunctives down so that it doesn't disturb our comfort. You with me?
Yes.
And it let us off the hook because we are chronically irresponsible. You with me?
Yes.
You see, chronically, right? And those injunctives will get you straight. But getting straight is not comfortable because it takes you out of your comfort zone. So we start hitting. You see? Okay, I don't have to do no budget. I can just do similar. No, that's not the injunctive. You must do similar in budget. I don't like budget, so I dismiss it. You got to get up every day, you know, as punctually and as close to the same time as possible. But you don't like that because that's inconvenient. You know what I mean? I have to cut the TV off. So forth and so on. We all know that. It doesn't, I mean, it's not something that we keep hiding. I mean, it's something we must acknowledge about ourselves. You follow what I'm saying? And then you wonder why you ain't going nowhere. You have not followed the instructions, and that's in the successions that they have given to you, right? First get the flour. You see my point? Then add this, then add that. You see my point? Don't leave nothing out. So I'm gonna make a cake, but I'm gonna leave out milk, I'm gonna leave out all the other ingredients. I might leave out the flour, like eggs, and just gonna put some eggs in there. And poof, and voila, they'll turn into some bread. No. You don't have a mess. You see? But if you don't have humility in time, you're not going to follow the injunction. Because the first experience of the Guru is the same experience you have with any authority. And you're simply anti-authority. You don't like doing what nobody tells you to do. That's why so many areas of your life has not worked. You don't like being instructed.
Right.
You didn't like it in school, you don't like to follow the rules of the road, you just don't like doing anything that you feel is unnecessary or discomfort or inconvenient. Alright?
Yes.
You're still childish. You have a lesson. You have something that you have not grown up. Are you with me? Because if you grew up, then you understand, you see. You're going to have to follow laws. Even if you break these outer laws, you can't break this inner law.
Right.
Are you with me?
Right.
You ain't gonna break that. You follow me? You don't start cultivating those qualities and virtues that we call psalm. You know what I mean? So forth and so on. You will lose your mental balance. You will become insane. You can't. There's a consequence of constant bouts of anger. You will become insane. This is how that goes. Overindulgence in greed, you will become. You see, the consequence of that. You don't get around that. You follow what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's a great insight for that. Rastafari. Last but not least. Come.
One more.
And one more. That one might.
Yes. This is Rumi, of course you knew this was Rumi, talking through the door. You said, who's at the door? I said, your slave. You said, what do you want? I said, to see you and bow. How long will you wait? Until you call. How long will you cook? Till the resurrection. We talked through the door. I claimed the great love that I had given up what the world gives to be in that love. You said, such claims require a witness. I said, this longing, these tears. You said, discredited witnesses. I said, surely not. You said, who did you come with? The majestic imagination you gave me. Why did you come? The musk of your wine was in the air. What is your intention? Friendship. What do you want from me? Grace. Then you ask, where have you been most comfortable? In the palace. And what did you see there? Amazing things. Then why is it so desolate? Because all that can be taken away in a second. Who can do that? This clear discernment. Where can you live safely then? In surrender. What is this giving up? A peace that saves us. Is there no threat of disaster? Only what comes in your street inside your love. How do you walk there? In perfection. Now silence. If I told more of this conversation, those listening would leave themselves. There would be no door, no roof, or window here.
That's room. That's room. That's room. That's room. That's room. That's room. Rumi is telling us in his own inimitable style that unless we are able to move in this direction, you remain desolate, even if you live in a palace. Because our presumption is that happiness is the result of something that you can get, the contents of your life. So you had a wife, you had a husband, you had a house, you had this, you had that. You think by adding things, you will have happiness. But that's not how that works. Those are contents, they're not context. It's the context that has to be there. Inside it, this is the context, see, of all your experiences. And this is the thing, if your context is not of a certain quality, then nothing you add will bring you happiness. It's just the quality, the purity of it, the emptiness of it, the sunya, the disappearance of that egoic quality of our inner being. Rumi says you'll leave yourself. And yet, that's exactly what you need to do. I wish he had a continued that before, but you get it. I'm with you. More said, and you will leave yourself. You'll start clinging to yourself. Because you're clinging to yourself, not knowing this very clinging to yourself, your imaginary self, your presumed self, the self you think you are, and would be the self you want to be, but are not. Clinging to that. And we see that all over the world, don't we? I mean, you see people got all of those things you're trying to acquire, cars, mansions, money. They're blowing their brains out. Because the context of their life is such that that doesn't bring them the quality of life. You see, it's the quality of life. You have to really understand this. It's very subtle. It's the quality of your life, not the contents in your life, that has to be heard. The quality of your life. And that quality of your life emerges only when this false sense of self and identification with it disappears. It is already there. It's just obscured, like the sun. You see, it's obscured by clouds. It's still there. If the sun wasn't shining, you couldn't see the clouds. It's like that. In all of our cases. But if I say more, right, then I might come take us home for lunch.
Got these contacts, so
There ain't no room here. Oh my God.
Yes.
Y'all trying to kill me.
go back and see this. Run the specs on. The editor name is Poem, The Magic of Love. Love and fancy create 1,000 forms beautiful as Joseph and Sooth. They are greater sorcerers than Harut and Marut. Those are fallen angels. Before your eyes raise up the phantom of the beloved. You are enraptured with it and tell it all your secrets. Till as when a mother at the grave of her child newly dead speaks to him earnestly and intensely. Crazed with grief, she imagines his dust to be living, and in her heart believes he is listening to her. Lo, the magic wrought by love. Fondly and with tears she lays her lips time after time on the fresh earth of the grave in such wise, as during his life she never laid them on the face of the son who was so dear to her. But love for the dead does not last. When some days have passed in mourning, the flame of her grief sinks to rest. Love has carried off his enchantments and gone away. The fire is out, only ashes remain. So when we're attached to the forms instead of the essence, when the fire is gone, only ashes remain. And that was talking about personal love. But to clear it up, since we're talking about guru love, there's another paragraph in the poem entitled The Bridge to Reality, which says, in the hour of absence, love fashions many a form of fantasy. In the hour of presence, the formless one reveals himself, saying, I am the ultimate origin of sobriety and intoxication. The beauty in all forms is reflected from me. Now because thou hast often gazed on my reflection, thou art able to contemplate my pure essence. That's what it is.
What can we say about it? I mean, it's just really, if God is love, then love can't be destroyed. If God is love, then everything is a manifestation thereof.
Right.
But when they say love, they don't mean what we normally define as love, which is simply attachment.
Yes.
That's not what they talk about. In the African tradition, we talk about ancestors. You'll find in many aboriginal and indigenous culture, there's a certain kind of relationship with those who have come in your life and gone out of your life that is never destroyed, right? But everybody that dies in those cultures don't become an ancestor. It's just those who have loved that don't die, that experience don't die. It's like those of us in here who have lost parents and so forth and so on, but had even some level of the experience of unconditional love. It wasn't the unconditional love of Mother Nature, so let's not get this twisted, and let's not elevate our mothers to that status. You see, they're not equal to that, you see. But by virtue of having a female body, they are conductors of that natural love that you see in nature, right? A little bit of it, you see, but enough of it. See my point? That we never forget that experience, even though they're long gone. True.
Yes.
That's it. That don't die. You see? And even before you die, you tell somebody else about that kind of motherly tender love and kindness, right? And then they remember based on your own conducting of that reaction to that love in your own life. Are you with me? Her love enters you and exits you in the form of love. Right?
Yes.
That's how you make right use of the love of love. Right? It says enter you and exit you as an asshole. So many of us have turned the love that we have received from people and comes into us, they have fructified us, they sustain us, but we exit out of us and we just become an asshole. You have wasted somebody's love. Nobody loved us to become an asshole. Are you with me? True?
True.
So this is something, when we start talking about love, which is really impossible, you know what I mean? But nevertheless, some attempt has to be made, you see. But we're talking about something that technically cannot be talked about. At all. It's an experience. That is beyond basically beyond language, beyond words, beyond object, so forth. You can be loved, but you can't talk about it. Yes. Choose. Because the more you talk about it, the more you desecrate it, the more you reduce it. Sound bites, you know what I mean? Trivialize. So be loved. And then what else do you have to say about it? Yes, beloved.
Beloved, thank you for giving me the water for my tears. The crowd for thank you.
That's how we make right use of grace. That's how we make right use of grace. We reached a point now where we have exhausted what poetry can do in terms of communicating this profound thing that we're trying our best to talk about. So we come to music. And so Roger Vitter has the final gift of love. And then we're going to later on take a break, get some food or snacks out here. There's going to be a battle of the DJs today. Sabanunda versus Roger Vitter. Old school versus new school. We'll see. Are we going to be out of time for law? We have to go running tomorrow? Soon. Huh?
Let's run it another hour because they were not on time.
Yeah, they were not on time. They didn't have the flow on. And so, and then we're going to dance and get tired because dancing. So you have to understand why in all these cultures do you see dancing combined with spirituality, development. You see, why do you think that? We'll answer that a little later, right? You see, because they dance. Because dancing modifies the energy. You see, changes energy, changes chemistry. When you're dancing with your beloved, it's hard to start a fight. I can get into an argument. You know, you're in a different zone, you're in a different place. So dancing is an act of intercourse. It's a different kind of intercourse between two bodies. So, Roger Vitter, you're ready? And then we're going to move around, get a few snacks, and enjoy the battle.
Next
Monica Mara said she's gonna rap it for me. But you can go around and get some practice if you want. All right. Take it.
That's too bad.
I was trying to get your attention when you was asking your questions. You was standing in the one spot that I couldn't shoot.
That's all right. You gotta know my big mouth.
I couldn't get around. Well, I tried though. I got a little bit of it. Happy Bhagwan month. All right. Okay. You left-handed, huh? Tell you eating with your left hand, that means you're left-handed. Yes, sir. Okay.
Fortunately, all things come to me. He decides something. Nothing violates the law of impermanence.
It was
I
on.
don't know what else to do with this thing. So as we get ready, before we have Rashad, just one last thing here to do real quickly, and if you bear with us, I think I promised Siddhanta that he could come before you and say a few words he wanted to share that was not in the form of poetry and so forth and so on. So please be brief, beloved. And before he says something, come sit, beloved. I need to make a disclaimer. Because when you are all sharing your poetry and sharing your own heartfelt and sincere experience here in the house, you almost always somehow attribute that to me. And I must be honest with you and tell you, that ain't me. You see my point? What you're feeling is the aroma Maharaji, perhaps. That's true. And I'm happy that that aroma in itself is transformative in your case. But all of that is the grace of the Guru just bouncing off of this thing. Are you with me? This thing here is just a reflection of the grace. You see, it's not the source of it. Are you with me? I can't, in all honesty, take credit for that which I have not done. This is just grace. This is just grace. You see, grace came, entered, and exited. And that's all this world is. I wanted to say that for everybody's benefit, but especially with guys like this. That in all sincerity, you see, has given me all that credit, you see, but the credit goes to Maharaj, clearly.
Well, I didn't write a poem, but it was something, if there was going to be a testimony part, I had planned to share. And I guess as part of that, I can't say I disagree with what you say, but I'll add to it. I will bounce back your own expressions earlier that, yes, the grace of your guru and all that, but what I, in my experience, and perhaps other people's, what I would give you the credit for is the effort part. Because after all, you said it was grace and effort. And the effort that you put in, that you have put into me over 20 years, whatever your motivation was, it has been, continues to be. And I don't have time to even ask you about that, but that card I would attribute to you because you have used your body. It's been the body that was given to you. And you put the effort. And you had a choice, you did not have to do it now. I understand your heart. But what I wanted to share was, over the last 5 years, something interesting has happened in terms that has let me know how much you have meant to me in many ways in my life. And that is, that you started showing up in my dreams. And in the last 5 years. And when the first started happening, I was like, wow. And now it happens, and you know how dreams are, they come in all different, sometimes I'm Siddhanta and we're interacting with that, sometimes I seem to be a character, just in some scenario that you're doing, witnessing, being there, being present. But it's amazing to me because you have been, throughout my whole life, I've dreamed more, had you in my dreams more than anyone else. Others I've known even longer than you. Mother and family, and lady friends, and so on and so forth. And so not only in the morning, but throughout the day, but now in the nighttime. It's like,
Okay, we get your point.
it's just an extra treat.
You might need a therapist 7 hours. You like this, right?
But and I don't want to, but it's just, it's love. That's what when it shows up, it's love. When I wake up in the morning, it's like, wow.
How many else have had dreams about this so-called thing? Well, you all agree. All right, let's have a shot. That's enough.
Thank you for giving me that.
Okay, so if you will line up quietly and we'll have a shot. We'll get ready to come. Get your line straight. Coming from this side. You also go around to the wall.
Let them come out first. Let them come out first.
Turn around and go the other way.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay. We'll look at the call.
Guru Mujabai Baye. May we all be the recipients of the divine grace and be helped to achieve the very highest possibilities in use of our human life. By that grace, by thy mercy, by thy loving kindness.
Jaya
Turn this up. Let me tell you something. Them drummers, you see in Africa, drumming at those rituals, Bilal and Kamari and Tina know this, you see. They had to practice for 40 years, and they could not strike the drum wrong under penalty of death. Wow. Play on the Raj.